Good evening. What's going on, guys? I know what you're thinking. Dave, weren't you just on earlier? I was. What are you doing on Thursday night? This isn't McRae Live. It's not. As you can see, Impromptu, live AMA. I'm here because my production meeting. I had a production meeting scheduled for tonight for It's Me, Billy, and it had to be rescheduled for later this weekend. So I thought, why not jump on and talk with you guys? Because I was like, I had a bit of time. I did the voiceover work I needed to do this afternoon. That's crazy. It's crazy how it's affecting everything here. I mean, everybody. It's not just affecting those of us that work in the entertainment industry, but obviously everybody. And it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. I had to, one of my agents sent me an email this afternoon and said that we have some clients, some buyers that are wanting to know about everybody's home studio setup. Now, I do most of my work from home. I'd say about 65% of the voiceover work I do is from here in my home studio. It's professionally treated. That is a walk-in closet there, goes in, opens up a little bit. That's my booth, professionally treated in there. I got my microphone in there. I got a 27-inch monitor in there. I got my preamps here. It's all boring shit. Tech guys will like it. But anyway, yeah, so, and I'm able to record broadcast quality from home. But of course, the clients and the buyers and the studios and the production companies that like to bring you in want to know what your home studio setup is like, because for the foreseeable future, it looks like that maybe we're going to be doing this from home more often, depending on what happens. So I had to give them a list of, or I had to give my agent a list of specs. What microphones I use. I don't use this one for voiceover, by the way. This is actually a fantastic microphone. It's like a $500 microphone. It's fantastic. It's the Shure SMB 27, whatever it is. I always get that mixed up with one other one. This I just use for the show and the channel here, but I had to give them a list of my microphones, my preamps, my DAW, digital audio workstation, essentially is what that stands for. What software do I use? Is it Pro Tools? Is it Adobe Audition? Is it Twisted Wave? Is it Audacity? Is it whatever, what do you use, right? Because they want to know. So I use Adobe Audition. And so I told them that and gave them the specs of my computer and all that kind of stuff. And it's just kind of funny because even those that like to bring you into their studios are now like, we might have to get you to do it from home. So they want to make sure that you are set up to deliver, pro level audio quality shit, if you know what I mean. So that's no biggie to me because I am. So I was like, yeah, here's my specs. Here's what, I'm able to do. And then I had to record a sample in my booth and just kind of let them know sort of what it sounds like. So I did that, sent it off, and then I had some other VO work I had to do. And then I was getting ready to do, to have a production meeting tonight with Bruce. We were going to do it over Skype, obviously. He's feeling well. I'm feeling well, but who knows what I might bring off my shoe into his place? Who knows what he might bring off his, pant leg into my place? I mean, who knows, right? So for the foreseeable future, we're just kind of doing this kind of thing over Skype, and we had quite a bit to go over, but we had to reschedule. So we've rescheduled for hopefully later in the weekend. So I had some time, and I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to jump on and talk to you guys and see what you guys are doing and hanging out. And don't worry, I'm going to be back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. for McRae Live again. You guys just can't get rid of me. You can't get rid of me, you son of a bitch. Anyway, let's see what's hanging. Let's see what you guys are doing. How are you guys coping with it? Like, what's going on? Like, are you guys feeling it? I mean, as Cecil was talking about earlier today, for those of you that don't know, this morning I started my show, McRae Live, at 11 a.m. like I do every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And I was about 20 minutes into my show, and then my show crashed. And at first I thought it was the software again, or I thought it was something going on my end. No, it was YouTube servers. They completely crashed, and I was like, and I couldn't get back into my channel. And it was so scary because when I hit refresh, suddenly this message popped up that said, your channel doesn't exist. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, get the fuck out of here. What? I thought I'd been hacked or something like that. Like, what the hell's going on, right? So anyways, it was just, I was getting 500 errors, 404 errors about all sorts of stuff. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? But other people reached out to me and said they've been having some tricky issues too. And anyways, in certain parts of the world, it was down. But I was able to get back on, and I came back with a vengeance with Cecil Laird of The Horror Show, my buddy Cecil, over there, and we talked shop for about an hour and a half or so, and it was great to have him on. But like he said, he does a lot of his work from home too, so we notice it, but we don't notice it probably as much as you guys who work the standard 9 to 5, or maybe you're out a lot, that you guys might notice it a heck of a lot more than we do. How are you guys hanging in? Are you guys doing okay? Are you guys social distancing? Are you anti-social distancing? Do you see your neighbors and just go, hey, how you doing, Bill? Hey, I said hi. I was out for a run this afternoon at around 5:30, and there's this pathway through this park where I run. I do about 5K 3 or 4 times a week, and I'm out there and I'm jogging, and normally I might see, I'll see the odd person on the path walking their dog or something like that, right? But today, and for the last few days, it's like, it's like there's a party going on in the path. Everybody's out. People who've never walked a fucking day in their life in terms of recreational walking are out on the path. I see people jogging who probably never laced up a pair of Adidas in their life. They're out there. You know what I mean? So it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. David Quintanilla says, well, I'm an over-the-road trucker. Very cool. Here in the U.S. So my life hasn't changed much, but staying infection-free is a challenge. Just very cautious of the cleanliness. Well, stay safe, David, man. Stay safe. You know what? I mean, right now, you're a hero out there, man. We're used to sort of, different types of heroes, but in these kinds of scenarios, I mean, your supermarket cashiers, your the guys and gals that work overnights and stock the shelves, the nurses and the doctors. I mean, they're always heroes, but they're really sort of coming to the forefront now. Your long haul truckers who get, shit that we need from A to B. You know what I mean? So awesome stuff, man. Stay safe out there, man. Mark Mark Striano? Am I saying that right? Probably not. I live in the mountains, 9,000 feet elevation. The streets are empty and very quiet. That's so cool. Whereabouts are you? Are you in the States? Are you in Colorado? Are you here in Canada, out in Vancouver, maybe? Whereabout? Or maybe you're overseas in Switzerland. Who knows? Let me know. Crazy stuff. Hope you guys are doing well and hanging in. Aaron Click says, I'm pretty much an indoor person. So yeah, it hasn't been a drastic change for me. I've noticed it because, everything's closed, right? So like the gyms are closed and the malls are closed and the restaurants are closed. Like I said on a stream, I I guess it was this morning I was talking about it too, man. The days are really starting to bleed into each other. But a couple of weeks ago, Bruce and I had planned to go see one of our locations for It's Me, Billy. And it's about a four-hour drive from here. Actually, there were two locations that we were going to see. We had to cancel because of this whole thing going down. Everybody's shutting down. So it's crazy, man. It really is. It really is crazy. The girl's asked at the beginning of the shower scene. I love it. Do you think that people will take sanitation more seriously after this passes, or will people still remain their stupid old selves? Well, I think there's always that period where people are more diligent, but the longer things go back to normal, right? I mean, you know, there was probably a moment there after 9/11 where people were just petrified to fly. And then, of course, you know, as the days turn into weeks and the weeks turn into months and the months turn into years, and, you know, you sort of get back to normal. I mean, it's a new normal, but it's normal. And I think the same thing's going to happen here. I think there will still, let's not forget, it's good to be able to dirty ourselves up. It's good to be able to get dirt on our hands and to be able to get dirt into our bloodstream. And it's good. I mean, it's how our immune system builds up the antibodies to fight that kind of stuff. I mean, that's why it's so important at a very young age, you know, within reason. It's not black and white, right? I mean, there's nuance in, you know, what I'm trying to say, but that's why it's so important that kids have the opportunity to go out and skin their knee and get dirty and play in the dirt and the mud. And, you know, I mean, as long as they're not licking, you know, some infectious ambulance tire or something. I'm just, you know what I mean? Being a kid, man, being a kid. I mean, I grew up in the 80s as a young boy, you know, and the 90s as a teenager. And that's what we did, just being a kid. It's important that our body is exposed to that. And even as an adult, it's important that we still continue to, you know, you don't have to, you know, you open a door, you don't have to go and wash your hands right away. I never do. I wash my hands after I go to the washer. I wash my hands maybe before I'm going to eat, you know, or something like that. But I'm not like, if I go to the subway and I get on the subway and I'm hanging on to the thing, I don't leave and feel like, oh my God, I got to go wash my hands or something. You know, I think it's within reason. I think it's within reason. You know what I mean? But will there be that period that people are freaking out? Yeah, probably. It'll probably be there, man. It'll probably be there. Andrew Burton says, Dave, I miss going to school. We do it online while we're stuck at home. It sucks, man. I miss going out and school. I'm also 17. I'm 17. We'll be in 8 months, September 5th. So you'll be 18 in September. Yeah, I mean, I was talking about that with my girlfriend actually earlier this week. Wait, there I am. Not sure what happened there. There I am. Not sure what happened, but I'm back. Whatever happened, I'm back. It was probably that damn YouTube server again trying to take me down. You're not taking me down, you son of a bitch. You are not taking me down. Oh, wait, hang on a sec. What's going on? Oh, wait. I'm trying to get that, what's going on here? Wait a minute. Are we still broadcasting? We're still broadcasting live, right? Yep, we are. We are still broadcasting live. Okay, that's good. That is good. Just a sec. For some reason, it's not going to let me. Let's do this. There we go. Strange. Don't know. It wasn't letting me do that. It's the goddamn YouTube service. Crazy this morning, man. I'm telling you, I thought my channel was lost. I can see and hear you. That's good. What was I saying? I was talking about, we were talking about how, you know, what would it have been like if this was like 1996 and this happened? Now, remember, this is like the internet existed in 96. I mean, technically it existed, but it was really only in businesses, for the military. Like, it wasn't a common thing. You know, and certainly those that did have it, you know, it was dial up and, you know, and I mean, it was, I didn't have my first email address until I was 19. So, I mean, we sometimes wonder, and there were no cell phones, no social media, nothing. So we joked like, I wonder what it would have been like, You know, there would have been a lot of talking on the phone, landlines, right? You would have been calling your buddies, talking on the phone. Maybe if your buddy was well, you might be able to convince their parents to let you see them. You know, I don't know, man. Like the kids today, you're lucky in a sense that this happened to you in an era. And again, I'm not trying to be all like, I remember in my day. I just mean that you're lucky in the sense that this isn't 25 years ago. Although it's all relative, right? I mean, we don't know any better. I mean, there was no internet, there was no social media. So we didn't know what we were missing because we didn't know that didn't exist. So what you don't know, you don't miss, right? So it's relative, but certainly you're very lucky to be able to have pocket computers and the internet and where you can just kind of watch movies on your phone, on a screen like this. It's insane. You can watch a movie in bed. It's insane. You know what I mean? So it's, at least we have this still. At least we have this. I mean, can you imagine if the internet was down? Can you imagine that? Man, crazy stuff. I know. It's crazy. It's crazy stuff, man. Okay, I'm just going back, just making sure. Okay. All right. I always jump back now. You'll see me jump back and forth every so often between screens because I get a little paranoid that I'm missing super chats because there was, for a while there some weren't showing up. So, and I haven't, which is always good. Lord Flacco says, I was born in 96 and haven't seen so many kids outside since I grew up. It's nice to see kids playing street hockey and stuff. Never knew so many kids lived in my neighborhood. I hope my family is keeping it up. Yeah, well, you're born 96, so you'd be 24 this year. Maybe you're already 24. Yeah, I mean, I remember that. I mean, as again in the late 80s, early 90s, that's what we were doing. You know, there was no internet, there was no smartphones. We were out riding our bikes and getting into all sorts of shenanigans and using our imagination. I mean, that's why people my age and a bit older really sort of identify with a show like Stranger Things or, Summer of '84 and even though the kids in Stranger Things, for the time period that it's taking place in, like 83, 84, 85, they're about 5 or 6 years older than I would have been in 83, 84, 85. I'm still old enough that once I got to that age in the late 80s, early 90s, not much had changed. Like there wasn't much of a turnover in terms of that different. So we were still doing the same things because it's not that far apart, right? But you jump 25, 30 years later to where we are now and it's drastically different. I mean, a lot of kids now, it's very different, very, very different. I don't have kids. My buddy Bruce has kids. So I've lived sort of vicariously through him and, played Uncle Dave, so to speak. And it's funny to hear what his kids are into or, what they're worried about and, what they're so upset about or what they're excited about. And it's just kind of like, wow, I never wasn't even a wow. You know what I mean? Crazy stuff. Rick Baker says it oddly feels like the 70s again. That's a good point. The family is eating at home, spending time around the TV, and gas is cheap. Oh my goodness, is gas ever cheap? Holy shit, you are absolutely correct. Perhaps this pandemic will foster a new connection with the core unit. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not going to hold my breath. Yes, I filled up my car today. And for those of you that don't know, I drive a Challenger. I have a 2019 Challenger. And to fill up that car is at least what it was, say, a couple of months ago. Now, here in Canada, we go by liters. Okay. Now, in the States, you go by gallons. All right. It works out to about the same, but we're just measuring it differently. So here it was the average price, I think, was like $1.25 a liter. Now remember, that's a liter, not a gallon. Okay. Well, what that would translate into a gallon would probably be comparable to what you pay in the States. But anyway, so and to fill up my car would probably be about, if I'm like hovering on the empty, I would say probably about anywhere between $65 to $75. Today I filled up for $32. I was like, holy, and my buddy Bruce, okay, he filled up. He found a gas station where it was 55 cents a liter. Now, I don't know what that would translate into gallons, but we haven't seen that price since I was like, I don't know, 16. It's insane. He filled up his car. I think he drives. What does he drive? I think he drives a Corolla. He filled up his car for like $16. It's like, what the fuck? It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. Crazy. Super chat comes in from DMO the Warrior. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. Says, hey, Dave, I love your channel. Thank you. Listening to you gets me through work, especially through this virus stuff. I work at a supermarket and it's hell working. Dude, you know, keep your chin up, man. Work hard. That's what you're doing. And although this is going to sound a little funny, I don't mean this to sound funny. Thank you for your service. I mean, obviously, if we compare what we do at, the supermarket or something in comparison to going to war, obviously it's night and day. But during this time, we really appreciate, you guys out there on those front lines, stocking the shelves and, doing the cash or sweeping the floors or bringing the carts in, whatever you're doing, man, whatever you're doing, you're out there on the front lines, making sure that everybody else can have their fucking toilet paper. Right? Am I right? I'm right. All these fucking idiots going into the store buying 19... Stop. Okay? Stop. You can buy... Nobody needs 38 bags of toilet paper, all right? I mean, how many rolls of toilet paper can you possibly go through in a month? Are you planning on going through all 19 bags in a month? You got some sort of... Anyway. Really appreciate it though, man. And I hear you. And thank you for supporting the channel. And I'm glad that I can be a part of your entertainment, let's say your entertainment. Zach Axiola says, I think the 1990 remake of Night of the Living Dead starring Tony Todd was able to outshine the original 1968 classic in terms of scares and atmosphere. Your thoughts? Wasn't that the one directed by Tom Savini? Did he direct that? Or no, he directed Return of the Living Dead, I think, right? Anyway, I've seen that film, the 1991, but I haven't seen it in a long time. Like it's been probably 30 years. So I can't really say. I'd have to watch it again. Kyle Riles says, Dave, how do you feel about the reason why Michael bled green in H6 is because he is actually an android from H3. They did bleed green after all, or do you think it may have just been an Easter egg? No, I think, honestly, do you want to know? Now, again, unless there is an explanation from Joe Chappelle and the writers on Halloween 6 of why, I mean, maybe it is out there in the ether and I'm unaware of it. But my instinct is, no, it's just green slime because it's cool, because it's messy, because it's gross. And it's supposed to be kind of like, whoa, what is that? Wow. Like, is that, he's this evil, it's like, oh, that's weird, man. It's fucking weird. Like, what is that? I don't think you're really supposed to think about it that seriously or think about it that intensely. It just is. It's just like shit coming out of his like brain and his face. It's like, whoa, like, what is that? I don't think it's an Easter egg at all. Now, you can, in retrospect, look back and make something up and say, oh, yeah, that's what we were doing. But was it what they were doing? I have no idea. No idea. Super chat comes in from Lost Boy Boyus. Thank you, buddy. Would you do voices for a video game, or have you? Yes, I would, and yes, I have. Not any of the big video games that you see, but I've done a couple for educational video games for children and learning and things like that. And I also did some voices for a video game. What the hell was it called now? This is going to be very self-indulgent, and I don't mean it to be, but I have to go to my own IMDb page, which is really lame because I forget the name of it. Shadow Blood. There was a mobile game called Shadow Blood, and I played the character of Claude. So if you were to download Shadow Blood, if it's still available on the App Store, Google Play and the App Store on Apple, then I'm the voice of Claude in that game. So there's that. And then there was one, I did a children's game, a lot of children's stuff, learning educational stuff. And that's the only sort of video game that I've done. It's not like for the console or anything like that, but it was cool nonetheless. Like I said this before, but as a voice actor, my career has been very focused on, and it's not like I focused it intentionally this way. It's just sort of where I fell into. The my portfolio and sort of the focus of my career has been in the world of commercials, promos, trailers, and narration. So that, your network promos, your radio and television commercials, your movie trailers, game trailers are in there as well. I've done a couple of game trailers. I did a Resident Evil trailer one time, which was really cool. So that's sort of that's where my bread and butter has been. But I've always, ironically, I wanted to do more animation and cartoons. And so I got another agent specifically for animation. So I have an agent for commercial, trailer, and promo and narration, essentially. And I have an agent for animation. And through her, Jude Foster, by the way, Jude, if you're watching, she's my animation agent. She's amazing. Hello, Jude. She was able to help me land some supporting roles on a few kids' cartoons, which has been great. And I was able to be directed by the Emmy-nominated Susan Hart, which is just, I love working with Susan. Susan, if you're watching, she's probably not watching, but if she is, Susan, we love you. I love you. I think you're fantastic. Can't wait to work with you again. And I just had a ball. So I'm trying to build that side of my portfolio up. So I have a very thick portfolio in all that, but I want to do more animation. And in that is, of course, your games and all that kind of jazz. But yeah, if you download Shadow Blood on your mobile device, I'm the character of Claude, which was pretty cool. Which was pretty cool for sure. So indeed. Oh, a couple more super chats came in. You guys are awesome, supporting the channel, man. You McRae's are great. You McRae's are great, man. Hey, and I'm thinking about making like a McRae shirt. I'm so busy here, but I'm going to do it. The Movie Nerd 95 sends in a super chat. Thank you, buddy. Really appreciate you supporting the channel like that. Says, love your channel, Dave. Me and my 8-month-old daughter watch you. You're starting her young. You're starting her young. That's the way to do it. We doing quarantine right. Watching you. Yes. Shout out from Evansville, Indiana. Evansville, Indiana. Hello to Evansville, Indiana, and to that movie nerd and his 8-month-old daughter. I hope you guys are staying safe. And I mean, I don't have any kids, man, but what a precious thing to be able to, it must be so surreal, when you look at this little thing, it's like, wow, this little thing depends on me. You know what I mean? It's like, wow, your life changes, doesn't it? Changes forever, and hopefully for the better, as they say. TMB sends in a super chat. Thank you, TMB. Says, Dave, love your channel. I love your movie and cinematic analysis. Thank you. Question, did you know Snoke was supposed to be Darth Plagueis, but then TLJ, do you think Palpatine really planned for after death? Okay, well, I think I know what you're trying to say. No, I don't believe Snoke was... I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that Snoke was supposed to be Plagueis. I heard that was a rumor. And do you think Palpatine really planned for after death? I know what you're saying. Look, there is no doubt in my mind that the goal was not to bring back Palpatine. That wasn't the goal. Okay, that was done no matter what the fuck Disney says. That was done because Rian Johnson killed Snoke. That's why. Now, there's two options to go. You guys know I loathe TLJ, and you know the reasons I do. I'm not going to go into it here. I have a McRae Live where I talk all about it. But there are fundamental character and story structure issues with that movie that do not line up when you're trying to tell a 3-act play. It just doesn't make any sense. And I think I was able to enjoy The Rise of Skywalker for what it was because I got exactly what I was expecting. But yes, I agree that it felt a little rushed and yeah, of course, because it's like they're putting 2 acts into one movie. I think they should have split it into 9 and 10, broken the tradition of the trilogy and done that for the sake of the sequel trilogy, which would eventually become a quadrilogy. Or you make it a 3-hour movie. So you give the film and the narrative some time to breathe with some exposition and a little more believability, and spend some more time into justifying why Palpatine is back. Now, I have read, I know the one thing I hate, you guys know this, it is a huge pet peeve of mine. I don't believe I should have to read a novel or a comic to understand what's going on in a movie. I hate that. I loathe that. Now, maybe it's because I'm not a big reader and I just don't like reading fiction. Maybe I should, but I don't think I don't like that. But I am aware of what the justifications were. And do I buy it? Well, I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, it's... I will say this about Palpatine. In fairness to J.J. Abrams, okay, look, when you're working at that level, at the Hollywood level, and you're making millions of dollars on multi-million-dollar productions, and there's potentially at least $1 billion at stake, there's something that I always call the politimatic. Hey, that's not actually a bad word. The politimatic. That's not a bad word. The political cinematic rhetoric. And that is that they fight the good fight. They say the good things about each other. And because they don't want to, it's not good PR. It's not good PR. But do I think that J.J. Abrams at some point went to himself or to his close friends or maybe his wife, what the fuck was Ryan doing? Yes, 100%. I have no doubt he said that. No doubt. Is he going to say he said that? No, of course not, because it's not good PR. It doesn't look good. It's not professional, right? But yes, JJ brought Palpatine back because they needed an anchor. They needed somebody with some sort of anchor, some sort of nostalgic weight behind it. Ren wasn't developed enough to be able to become I know that's what Johnson was doing, but he wasn't a strong enough antagonist. He wasn't a strong enough character. And JJ felt that we needed an anchor in there. So he brought back Palpatine. Now people can say, oh, that's dumb, that's this, that, and the other. And that's fair, but it's George Lucas that made that a possibility, not J.J. Abrams. Now, I know George said that after it, the end of Return of the Jedi, Palpatine was dead. That was it. He's not coming back. Okay. But George planted that seed of doubt. It wasn't J.J. that did that. J.J. just took what George did and exploited that opportunity. Because in Revenge of the Sith, during the opera scene, Palpatine says, and I'm paraphrasing because I may get it off a little bit, but Palpatine is talking about Darth Plagueis the Wise, and he says, the pathway to many abilities, some consider the pathway to the such and such as many abilities, some consider to be unnatural. And he's talking about cheating death, right? He tells this whole story about his master, Darth Plagueis the Wise, and how he discovered to cheat death and blah, blah, blah. And then he's talking, 100%. He alluded to, even though he didn't say it outright, he alluded to the fact in that scene that Palpatine might know a thing or two of how to do that. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that he could have come back. The problem is not really that Palpatine came back. The problem is that it didn't feel earned. And it didn't. Did it feel a little shoehorned in? Yes. Did it feel out of nowhere? Yes, it did. But if you had taken the time to really nurture that, even what happened with TLJ, and let this breathe a bit more, I think you could have done something better with him and made it feel a little more earned. But I love that Rey's a Palpatine. I love that. Fucking love that. Love that shit. Turns everything upside down. And even with Palpatine surviving, for all intents and purposes, he died at the end of the fall, but he was able to shoot his spirit into whatever it was. I don't think it renders the end of Return of the Jedi obsolete. I don't. I understand why people feel that way. I totally get it, and I can see it from that perspective. But for me, Vader was still the chosen one. He still completed what he set out to do, and the most important thing he did there was not just defeat the Emperor in that moment. It was save the life of his son. That's what it was about. He saved the life of his son, and that still happened, and that still mattered. But I understand I understand the criticisms and those that don't like it. I do. So, I know that was very long-winded, but these things are very hard to talk about. I think it's just, it is what it is. It's unfortunate that it wasn't a 3-hour movie or a movie split into 2 parts. I think that would have done wonders for this story. And you bring back JJ to do both. You do. And allow him the opportunity to nurture everything. That's what I would have done. But, what are you going to do? What are you going to do here? Let me see here. DMO the Warrior sends in another super chat. Thank you, buddy. He says, the toilet paper situation is crazy. Customers at my work fighting over it is literally the, fuck you, man. Come on. I could not agree more. It is definitely this. Fuck you, man. Come on. Yes, I could not agree more. The toilet paper situation is insane. I was very fortunate to be able to grab a package of 30 the other day, which is what I put up that, well, excuse me, it's the thumbnail for this, video. Major brain fart there. Raise peace. Raise peace. You ever played the Resident Evil games growing up? No, because by the time the Resident Evil games came out, when was the first Resident Evil game? I'm not sure. Was it in the 90s? I don't know. Like for me, when I think of playing video games growing up, I think of Nintendo and Sega Genesis. And very early on, this isn't my generation, but because I had older siblings, I was aware of it and I played it, was the Atari. Like I played the Atari when I was like 4 and 5, you know what I mean? And Pitfall and Pac-Man and all that kind of stuff. And then when I hit about 6 and 7, that's when the Nintendo came out. So, yeah, I don't, and of course, that certainly was not a game on either of those systems. Was Resident Evil on the PS1? Do you remember the PS1? It was like 96, I think. I don't know. I have played a couple of the games, but no, I'm not a gamer. Like I played it at like a friend's place on a Saturday night or something, and then you know what I mean? So I don't really know anything about the lore, the mythology, or anything like that. Cavern of Terror sends in the super chat. Thank you so much, buddy. I just started the storyboards for my short film project. Very good. What a process. Which leads me to a question. Who's doing the storyboards for It's Me, Billy? Well, first of all, congratulations. Yes, doing anything, the development and pre-production stages of a film is arguably your most important stages, because they are setting the stage, no pun intended, of course, for the production process. And Bruce, for those of you that don't know, I should have actually we should have talked about this. Bruce is a classically trained artist, and he is a visual artist and illustrator. And Bruce can do storyboards. He has already done a few for our film, and once we eventually launch our Indiegogo campaign, some of the storyboards that he has done up for the film will be part of certain packages. So yes, Bruce is definitely. We're not storyboarding the entire film. We will have a shot list, and a shot list is when you go through the script and you break down the scenes by shots, so that when you go to your location and you're getting ready to shoot, you're not figuring out how to shoot the movie when you're actually ready to shoot the movie. Like, you know what to do. Now, that doesn't mean that problems don't arise and that solutions must not be implemented. That happens on any film set. But you know the location, you know where the outlets are, you know what the wattages are, you know where you need to plug in things, you know where the camera's going to go, you know, you're ready for that. And your shot list describes that, describes the camera angles, describes whether it's close up, medium shot, long shot, master shot, you know, and it's basically, the shot list is basically the script, but it's got all the camera angles and the descriptions of the different shots on it. And that is something that the director of photography and the director tend to have very close by their sides as well. So that is very important. And that is something you do through the entire film. But storyboarding, you absolutely can storyboard your entire film. Or what sometimes people do, depending on the logistics and the you know, how complicated your film is, some productions will storyboard certain sequences that are integral to having a visual interpretation and illustration idea of what you're looking at, because it's very important that we get this just right. So let's storyboard this out so we have a visual sort of idea of what we're going to do. And that's what we're doing with It's Me, Billy. So there are certain sequences in the film. And again, it's a short film, right? It'll end up being like, 25 minutes, maybe 30 minutes at most, depending on how we milk certain scenes. But it's a short film. But there are certain sequences within the movie that we're like, let's storyboard that. just so we have an extra bit of, material to help us when we're actually on set. That's important. But it all depends. It all depends on, some people like to storyboard their entire film, and some people will just do, what I just said. So Bruce is storyboarding, and he's storyboarding certain scenes, to make sure that we get that right. Congratulations. Good luck on the project, man. Let's see here. What do we got going on? Horror fan, superhero. Hi, Dave. Hey, buddy. How's it going? Wayne Downey says they totally should have split it up for all the reasons you said. Plus, Star Wars 10 has a nice ring to it. I couldn't agree more. I like The Rise of Skywalker. I do, because I got exactly what I was expecting. I knew it couldn't look, but I agree with everybody. Everybody that said it should have been this, it should have been that, it should have been this. Oh my God, it should have been the end game of Star Wars. I agree. But it never was going to be, not because of J.J. Abrams and The Rise of Skywalker. It's because of Rian Johnson and The Last Jedi. And I'm not trying to throw shade. I'm just saying, the second act derailed everything. So now it's like it fell flat. It didn't go anywhere. It's like The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi were two first acts. You know what I mean? And it's like, it could never have been what it should have been. So we just essentially got another Force Awakens, but felt more like a second and third act kind of jumbled together, and with some cool moments and a cool reveal, and okay, that's it, we're out. And it's kind of like, yeah. And I said to you, you guys remember this, and I only speak for me, but I said months before the film came out, if I can walk out of the theater going, okay, cool, all right, yep, cool, then I'm okay. And that's exactly what happened. I got exactly what I expected, and maybe that's why I was able to enjoy it for what it is. But should it have been one of the greatest cinematic endings in the history of motion pictures? Yes. Yes, it should have been. But that's not the fault of Abrams, and I can't say it's the fault of Rian. I mean, he went out to do what he was going to do, but they let him do that. There was no cohesive synergy. There was no plan from the beginning. There was no, building this, you don't just go out and do whatever the hell you want. You know what I mean? Anyway, you can see I can go on and on and on that, but I agree. I agree, man. Totally agree. Let's see here. Super chat comes in from, I want to make sure I'm not missing any. The Nut House. The Nut House. I love that. The Nut House says, what movie could you watch once a month for the rest of your life if you had to pick one? Once a month only. Once a month for the rest of my life. I would say either Black Christmas or something. It's the pensive, slow burn of it. You can just kind of have it on in the background while you're just doing things. And it's that kind of movie. Halloween, maybe, but definitely that in the world of horror. I would say probably that, maybe Jaws. There's a few of them out there. Yeah, I got to think more on that. I take these things way too seriously, don't I? I'm like, anyway, there's a couple there anyway. Thanks for the super chat, buddy. Appreciate it. Jason JV sends in a super chat. Thank you so much. Jason JV says, went to my local liquor store by my job site to pick up some disinfecting wipes, but they're gone with the toilet paper. I know. I hear you, man. I hear you. I'm right there with you, man. It's like, what the fuck? People, you don't need to buy 10 bags of toilet paper. I mean, because you can't go through them in 1 month anyway. So just buy one pack. Like when I was at the store the other day, I bought one pack. Normally I buy a pack of 24. That's what I normally buy. But this lady who had this big skid of them was handing them out, not for free, obviously, but she was handing, and I saw it. I was like, oh, and she handed me a pack of 30, and I was like, oh, bonus, 6 more. Okay, cool. That's going to last me probably the next 2 months. You know what I mean? And then I'll go up to the store again. Like, if we all just did that, we'd all get toilet paper. Fuck insane. Joey20AF2 just sends in $20 super chat, man. No question, just supporting the channel. Thank you so much, buddy. Really appreciate you supporting the channel like that. It keeps these shows going, keeps this channel on the air, you know, and keeps us evolving and building this community, man. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. John Cash, no pun intended, sends in a $3.99 super chat. Thank you very much. Says, what kind of music do you like? I'm a big Stones fan. There's a couple of Rolling Stones songs I like. There isn't a specific sort of genre of music I like, or band that I follow, or group that I follow, or artist that I follow. I'm one of those guys, and I know this sounds like a cop-out answer, but it's true. I'm telling you the truth. I'm one of those guys that really could listen to anything. If it just resonates with me, if it's got a good beat, or if it's something I can, I like it. I don't care if it's top 40. I really don't care if it's Britney Spears or Justin Bieber. Now, Justin Bieber, I don't listen to because everything I hear, I just don't like. But if he happened to come out with a track that was like, wow, that's got a really good beat to it. It's like, oh shit, that's Bieber? Fuck, that's got a good beat to it. A good beat's a good beat. A good song's a good song. You know what I mean? I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, So I listen to everything from, like top 40, with that to AC/DC, to Led Zeppelin, to classical, to movie soundtracks, to 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s, Elvis Presley. I'm a big Elvis Presley fan. So yeah, everything, man. If I like it, I like it. You know what I mean? There isn't anything that I hone in on specifically. Like when I'm in my car, I got satellite, right? And I listen to the 50s on 5, the 60s on 6, the 70s on 7, the 80s on 8, the 90s on 9, the 2K one or whatever. And then I listen to Elvis Radio, which I think is it 19? Channel 19, I think, is Elvis Radio. Live from Graceland, Elvis Radio. I listen to that. I listen to talk radio to get my news and shit. I'm adaptable, man. I'm adaptable. That's it. Let's see here. DMO the Warrior sends in another super chat. Thank you so much, buddy. He says, who do you think would win between part 2, Jason or H281 Michael? I've always wondered, since they would be similar in size, both have their creepiness. I think Michael would win. And I think Dick Warlock's Michael would defeat Steve Dash's Jason, because I think we're still talking about a Michael character that is very close to the original, and it's the elusiveness, it's the predatory, stalking, lurking nature of Michael in Halloween 2, and I think he would surprise Jason. He would hunt him, and Jason wouldn't even be knowing. Now, that doesn't mean that Jason from part 2 doesn't have a little bit of stalking going on too. But I just think maybe Michael from part 2 might edge out Jason from part 2. I don't know, but it depends on the environments, man. You get Michael at Camp Crystal Lake into Jason's backyard, and it's like when the U.S. went to Vietnam, it's like, fuck, what are we doing here? We're out of our element, and, it's like, what the fuck, So, I don't know, man. It's a fun question, though. Fun to speculate. Let's see here. Grant F says, best movie soundtrack of all time. Oh, man, that's so hard. One of my favorite movie soundtracks of all time, which is something you guys might find a little sort of unorthodox and out of the box, is actually the soundtrack to The Green Mile. I love that movie. The Green Mile is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I love the soundtrack to that movie. It's eerie and haunting, and it's mysterious and dreamlike. It's just strange. It's strange. And I really like that soundtrack. Greatest soundtrack of all time. I don't know. It's probably going to go to maybe Raiders of the Lost Ark, Star Wars. It's hard to know what would be the greatest soundtrack of all time. Theme, though, too. I mean, Jesus, I don't know, man. I don't know, but there's some there that I really like anyway. The Nut House sends another super chat. Thank you so much for the super chats tonight, guys. Really appreciate that. You guys are amazing. Can you recall around the time the Blair Witch came out? Yes, I can. I was 20. What were you and your friends' reactions or impact, if you have any good reminiscence of 99? The summer of 1999. Well, I was 20. I just turned 20 in May, and I was going to go to college the year before that in 98, but I didn't. So but I was planning to go to college, and I did. I went to film school in September of 99. And so that summer was my last summer with my friends and all that kind of stuff before I went away to college. We all were going to college. And I remember the Blair Witch Project coming out. The one thing that I remember about the Blair Witch Project specifically, and I worked at a movie theater that summer. I had a job at a movie theater. So I remember it very well. The Blair Witch Project was one of the first Hollywood movies. I say Hollywood, but I mean, for all intents and purposes, sure. The first movie to be marketed, I don't know if it was the first movie, but it was certainly the first movie to be marketed in the ways that it was online. I mean, now, we're desensitized to that kind of thing. But people in 1999, and because the internet, for all intents and purposes, was in its infancy, there was no social media. I mean, people went on the internet to watch videos, yes, but they weren't like on like a site like YouTube. It was just like files, MIDI files, and you download music and surf the web, and I mean, that's really it. It was Yahoo, Yahoo. Remember that? Anyway, so people legitimately thought the Blair Witch Project was real. And I remember the radio ads too, it was like in October of 1994, and it was like, what the fuck is going on? And I think it was October, maybe it was November. And it was like, the discovery of this tape was found. It was like, is this real? What the fuck? And it was marketed as real, as legit. It was part of the marketing ploy. It was part of the marketing trick, right? It was an illusion. But back then it was easier to trick people because the internet was not a place where you went for, there wasn't that kind of information out there. Nobody knew any better, right? It was like, holy shit. And unless maybe you read, I don't know, Fangoria magazine, or you were watching, I don't know, you went to a specific site, or you were balls deep into it or something, you just didn't know. You just didn't know. And I remember, now I knew it wasn't real, but it was primarily because I worked at a movie theater. And I remember the reels coming in, because at that time it was still on film, and the reels would come in, and it was 16 millimeter too. I can't remember if they blew, no, I don't think they did blow it up to 35. I don't think they did, because when you would watch it on the big screen, it was like half the screen. So I think they were projecting 16, because the movie was shot on 16, I think, anyway. And I remember people began throwing up watching this film. And they were using that as part of the market. It's so scary. People are throwing up. You know what I mean? All that kind of stuff. And the thing is that wasn't why people were throwing up. As somebody who worked at a movie theater in 1999, I can tell you the reason why people were throwing up. It had nothing to do with how scary or not scary it was. It was because of the motion sickness. The movie was shot on 16, and you're projecting a film onto a gigantic screen that for the most part is handheld, and it's going like this a lot. And you're watching it on a big screen. And that people were suffering from motion sickness. And I remember one afternoon, I was working an afternoon shift, and I walked by the theater where the Blair Witch Project was playing, and this girl comes running out, teenage girl, whatever, and I look, and she comes, and she was obviously trying to get to the bathroom, and she didn't make it. She threw up right there on the floor, and I got my walkie-talkie on me, and I'm like, clean up on the top floor. It's like, uh-oh, and I consoled her and made sure, she was okay. But that's what it was. And then I remember when I identified, I'm not saying I'm the only one that figured that out, but I was the only one in the theater, like at my theater, and we worked at a big, like at that time, it wasn't a small one. The big sort of Coliseum type stadium style seating theaters were relatively new at that time. So it was all the buzz to go and watch a movie like that, right? And I remember taking little popcorn bags, little sort of individual small popcorn bags, and every time there was a showing of the Blair Witch Project, I would go into the theater and I would stand at the front of the theater, and I would tell everybody this is what's going on. If anybody in the audience suffers from motion sickness, I want to give you these little doggy bags, essentially. So in case you're not going to make it, you have something you can throw up in and everybody's not throwing up in the aisles. And so I would go through this whole kind of speech, and then I would say, so is anybody need a doggy bag? And without fail, at least 20 people would be like, like this, and we would hand them out. And that's why people were throwing up with the Blair Witch Project. It had nothing to do with it being scary. It was the motion sickness that people were feeling from the screen. And the same sort of thing happened to a lesser degree, but it happened to me. I didn't throw up, but I certainly felt it with oh God, what's the why am I drawing a blank on this? Why am I drawing a blank on this? Hang on a sec. Why am I drawing a blank? Cloverfield, right. When I went and saw Cloverfield in 2008, I treated my buddy Bruce. It was it wasn't the same thing, but I felt a little bit of motion sickness in that movie because there was a lot of this, and you're watching it on a gigantic screen. So that's sort of my experience with the Blair Witch Project, and I remember that very well. I saw the Blair Witch Project in the theater at the time with a girl that I liked. I remember that. And it was, I liked some of it, and I was bored through some of it. But I liked the concept. I liked the concept, because it was new. Found footage was new. I mean, there had been movies prior to that, but Blair Witch was the one that really blew the doors wide open because of their utilization of the internet and their marketing. So yeah, thank you for the super chat, and hopefully that was an answer that satisfies you. Let's see here. A couple more super chats came in. Dan-tastic. Hey, Dan. Hey, Dave. Any update on Dylan's new nightmare? Has the virus affected the production? Also, do you have any advice when writing an outline for a script you want to write? Working on one, but I keep freezing up. Okay, well, yes, of course. If you follow me on social media, if you follow Cecil Laird of The Horror Show on social media, you know that, yes, we were supposed to shoot Dylan's new nightmare at the end of May. I was supposed to fly to Phoenix on May the 25th, a day after my 41st birthday. Oh God, I'm already 40, almost 41. But unfortunately, because of everything that's going on, that had to be delayed. So it has not been canceled, but with everything that's going on, halting that production and delaying it indefinitely until we can sort of get things back on track and things can calm down was the right decision to make. And I supported it 100%. Everybody did. But as Vincent DeSante said, of course, a little more time for pre-production is not always is never a bad thing. So that's, of course, they'll be working hard on that to fine tune any loose ends that they otherwise may not have been able to do. So yes, that's the update. It has been delayed. We are not shooting at the end of May, which ultimately, the goal was to shoot in May, maybe do post-production throughout the summer, and maybe have it be released in time for Halloween. That's unlikely going to be the case now. It probably won't be released till next year, but I don't know. I'm not a producer on the film. I'm not the director or the writer, so I don't pretend to know. Cecil, would be able to answer that better than I could. But that's the update on that. And also, do you have any advice when writing an outline for a script? What do you want to write? Well, always, it sounds very cliche, but write what you know. It's very important to write what you know and not to synthetically, because you have an interest in a genre, to just start writing something, because you're not familiar maybe with the lingo or the nuances or the subtexts or the symbolism. But, you might find yourself kind of hitting walls. I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but always make sure that you write what you know, what you're passionate about. That's really important. When writing an outline, it's important to again, you're not writing a script and you're not writing a log line or a synopsis, because those are three very different things. Writing an outline, outlines are usually, there's not really a specific, an outline could be 2 or 3 pages long, but they essentially give you the overall crux of what the story is about, who the main characters are, and what generally the arcs are. So if you ever read if you ever go to Wikipedia and you read like a plot, summary of a movie, that's kind of like an outline, right? So it's sort of like that. You don't want to necessarily give everything away in your outline. There might be some things you want to hold close to the vest. So you write it in a way where you suggest, those types of things. But an outline is definitely, it can be a page long. It can be 2 or 3 pages long. It depends how long your movie is, whether it's a feature or a short. If it's a short film, then your outline will probably be a page long, if that. If it's a feature length film, then your outline could be 2 or 3 pages long. But it's a general sense of what the film is about, the main players in there, and sort of the direction of the acts, right? What's happening, what's the resistance that the characters are experiencing, what's the and if you're having trouble, then walk away from it for a bit. Walk away from it and start sort of, write down who your characters are. Write on a page, write your title if you have one. Write, instead of writing a summary first, maybe write a log line. And a log line is essentially a sentence or two. It's not really longer than that, because then you start getting into, summary. But essentially a log line is that. It's a line, it's a sentence that just basically, tells you what the movie is in a sentence half, or a sentence or two. And start there and see if you can kind of, figure what your story is in something smaller. And then, write your characters down and sort of build from that, rather than just going, okay, I have to write a summary, or an outline. Just start sort of really basic and small, and that might pique some ideas for you for your summary. Write about your characters. Who are your characters? Where do they come from? How tall are they? Are they married? Do they have kids? A lot of the times when you're writing characters, a lot of these things will not become apparent in your movie. We will never know if they had a bad relationship in 1986 and have a kid that, they don't want to have anything to do with. But it helps you as the writer write that character, because then you can make the creative choices necessary to implement the kind of person they are in terms of their personality or the decisions they would make. What kind of a person who fucks off and doesn't pay child support, maybe that's the kind of person this guy is. We don't know that about him, and we never find that out. But in the other decisions he makes in your story, that helps you to think what kind of decisions this person would make then, right? You know what I mean? That happens all the time. So I would start small. I would just start with a title or a log line, see if you can sort of do that, and then maybe write some of your characters down and kind of build from there, and walk away from it for a bit. If you're not feeling it, writer's block, walk away for a bit. That always helps too. It's the old, it's a cliche, but it definitely does help. Hopefully that's been able to give you some ideas anyway. Bringer of Chaos 00. Thank you for the super chat, buddy. He says, between James Jude Courtney and Dick Warlock, whose portrayal of the Shape did you prefer? Well, I would say James Jude Courtney I prefer, because I think it's more in line with Nick Castle. I think the decision, and this is not Dick's fault, but the decision that Dick Warlock made in terms of to make Michael more robotic, I think, and he did that because he got no direction. As far as the story goes, nobody was like, he was like, how do you want me to, whatever the fuck you want? Nobody really cared about that, because at that time, it wasn't a big thing. Halloween at the time was huge, obviously, because, the first movie was the most successful independent horror movie ever made at that time. But it wasn't, it's just not the same. It wasn't the same back then as it is now. Christopher Nelson was really making sure James Jude Courtney was walking a specific way, moving a specific way, turning his head, a specific way. And back in 1981, when they were filming part 2, it just wasn't important to them, I guess. So Dick just made a creative choice on his own to bring his own kind of methodical kind of, style to it, and that's what he did. But I think when you look at James, and it's fine for what it is, it's its own thing. But it is a little strange that he sort of makes this switch in a matter of minutes, because obviously the movie's take place minutes from each other in the actual narrative. But I prefer James Jude Courtney because I think it's more authentic to Nick Castle. I think, I believe that is the same person. He's walking the same ways that he did. He's moving the same ways that he did. So I would say in that respect, I would prefer James Jude Courtney. Swifty the Gamer says, hey Dave, can you get Drum Dums on McRae live? Would be awesome. Yeah, for sure. I'm making the rounds, trying to get everybody on, trying to coordinate schedules, trying to get people on. I'd like to get Jimmy Champagne on. I'd like to get Barry. Wolfman's Got Nards. I'd love to get him on. I'm just making the rounds and getting everybody on. You know what I mean? Because I just think it's fun just talking. I like talking to everybody. I like talking to people, and just knowing their stories and stuff. And I think it's fun. So yes, definitely. I don't know when, but definitely that is the plan to get a bunch of people on. Super chat comes in from the Nut House. Anthony says, have you seen Upgrade? I have, and I really liked it a lot. Of course, that was directed by Lee Winnell, who directed the third Insidious film. And of course, he also directed The Invisible Man that just came out. So yes, definitely, and really liked Upgrade. I don't own it, and I've been meaning to get it because I'd really like to own it. Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't miss any super chats. I don't think I did. Oh, wait. Wait. Hang on a sec. Mark525. Hang on, Mark. Don't worry. I'm going back here. 1 second. Let me see. Mark25 says, my chats ain't showing on live chat. Thank you for the super chat. That's very strange. I don't know why that is. Let me go on another. Okay, I'm going to go to another page, which should be able to get me into where your super chats are. So hold tight, Mark. We're doing this on the fly. This is what we got to do when we are live. We have no time to cry. We just got to do what we got to do. I'm going over here now, going into the super chats category here, and let's see if I can get some of those that may have slipped by me. Mark has deleted that one. Let me go back here. Mark 525. My chats aren't showing up. Let me see, Mark. Mark, I don't see any others. I see that you says my chats aren't showing up live. That's very strange. I don't know why that is. And I don't see your super chats anywhere else. I see that there's one at the top. Oh, that wasn't you, I don't think. Message deleted. I don't know why that is, Mark. I don't know why. YouTube is not registering that you had a super chat prior to that. Prior to the one where you said my chats aren't showing up. Unless you meant just your regular chats. I'm not sure. Macca 525. Macca 525. Not sure what's going on there. Not sure what's going on, man. I'll keep an eye on it and see if we can just keep an eye on things and make sure that we don't miss any, because obviously I hate when that happens, and sometimes it happens and I don't mean to do it. Sometimes YouTube is I don't know what they're doing there. Let me go back because there's a super chat. Mason James sends in us a $2 super chat, but the message was retracted. All right. Well, thank you for this, for supporting the channel nonetheless, buddy. Let me go back here. There was a $2 one from Lost Boys Boyas. Did I miss it? Oh, I don't know what's going on there. Let me just, I'm going to refresh this page here. We're still there. Oh no, that was the Nut House, not Lost Boy. That was the Nut House. So I did get the last one. Okay, cool. All right, sorry about that, folks. Sometimes it happens. We're all right. We're live. Everything's good. We'll go a little bit longer here on this Thursday night chit chat. Hard to believe. Hope you guys are remaining safe. Hope you guys are doing okay, and that you are, practicing antisocial distancing. Let's just make sure you're doing that. Brooke Louie is in the house. Hey, Brooke, how you doing? Brooke says, Hills Have Eyes I can be okay with, but Devil's Rejects upsets me as an adult. Fascinating. Raping a woman wearing her husband's face is twisted. Rob Zombie always got to have that stuff. Yes. Well, yes, I get it. I totally get it. I totally get it, Brooke. You know, I do. It could be he's a very exploitative filmmaker, right? He would have been great if he was coming up in the 70s. I mean, that's, you know, you see a lot of that stuff back then, like, you know, Last House on the Left and I Spit on Your Grave, because obviously I Spit on Your Grave, there's the new ones, but that was, you know, a remake of an older film as well. So pretty crazy stuff. Let me see. Blu-ray Addict says, The Devil's Rejects is one of my favorite horror films of all time. Not one of mine, but I think that's great that it's one of yours. Bobby Hall says, part of Blair Witch was 60 millimeter, but most of it was a camcorder. Okay, so they bounce back and forth. That's right. That's right. And a lot of it was improvisation. I mean, I remember the director of the film saying to them, you know, here's the basic idea of what of what I want you guys to do, but I want there to be a level of, he wanted a level of authenticity in terms of the casual, natural conversation. So make it here's what I want you to get across. Here's the information that must be, you know, revealed and why and when and where, but make it your own. You know, talk over each other, interrupt each other, you know, make it sound organic and natural. And they did. I mean, it fooled a lot of people, including my own mother, who I had to tell who I said it wasn't. And after she found out it wasn't real, she was like, oh, well, fuck that. She didn't say that, but I could tell that's what she was thinking. Let me see here. Super chat comes in from K316. Thank you very much, K316. It says, hey, Dave, could you an impression of Dirty Harry could I do an impression of Dirty Harry by Clint Eastwood, please? Probably not, but I don't know. Clint kind of talks like this. Go ahead. Make my day. Kind of sounds like that a little bit, right? That's what I can think of off the top of my head. Toronto Freddy, thank you very much. Toronto Freddy says, do you know of Pizzowell? Would you have him on? Pizzowell? I've never heard of him. No, I don't. Who is Pizzowell? Pizzowell? Don't know who that is. Never heard of him or her. Oh, him. Have him on. I don't know. I would have to. I'm very selective with who I have on for specific reasons. I mean, but I'm not against having anybody on if I feel that there would be a connection there, if I feel that it would be advantageous for myself and for him or her, if I feel that, it would be of interest to the audience, to the viewers as well. So, I'm very selective with who I have on but I'm not out of Pizzow. Pizzow? It's pronounced Pizzow. Oh, like Pizzow. I'm breaking it down to, see, this is the voice actor in me. I break things down far too much, I think. I'll have to check out his channel and see what he is, but I'm certainly not against bringing anybody on if I feel that if it would be advantageous for me, for them, and for the viewers. So I'll have to check them out. Doug804 sends a super chat. Thank you very much, Doug. Says, to me, Halloween 2018 was the same as Halloween 6. In what way, Doug? In what way? In what way, Doug? I'm not sure if that's a good thing for you, if that's a bad thing for you, if that's a neutral thing for you. I don't know. What could it be, ladies and gentlemen? Hey, we need a little Busta Rhymes in here, don't we? Trick or treat! Motherfucker! Again, that's not Busta, that's me. Busta Rhymes. Love some Busta Rhymes. Let me go back. Got that super chat. I think I got the super chats. Mason James says, Dave, I think a better way of having Michael realize Laurie was in the town in 2018 would be if Michael walked into Karen's house by chance and saw pictures of young Laurie on a wall holding baby Karen. Well, that's not a bad idea. I think the risk, now again, I don't pretend to know what David Gordon Green and Danny McBride were thinking, but instantly, what I think of when you tell me that is there's a certain level of emotional connection then that Michael, that we would have to see. Now, I don't mean he breaks down, sits on the couch, takes off his mask and starts crying. I don't mean that. I just mean that we'll be able to see it in the subtle nuances of the sort of body language, if you know what I mean. It's just those cues, he sees it, and I think David Gordon Green and Danny McBride maybe wanted to steer away from that, away from any sort of conscious reasoning, and maybe just rely on head tilts and things like that. I mean, you could have done that there too. You could have had him go in and he sees something and kind of does a head tilt or whatever. I think that would have sold well. I mean, it's definitely an idea for sure, but you don't want to go too far with it. Like, you don't want to have a bunch of photos and Michael sort of give the impression that Michael is reminiscing. Because if you start giving the illusion that Michael is reminiscing, thinking, and having, compartmentalized thoughts, then you run the risk of humanizing him too much. And there were things in that movie, in the 2018 film, that I thought they actually went too far with in terms of humanizing him. And that's big coming from me, because you know that I'm a huge proponent of the supernatural element and the edge and things like that when we talk about the original intent of the character. Whenever I talk about Michael having that slight supernatural edge, I'm talking about the original Michael, like part 1, right? And part 2. But once you get to like 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, and, he's more supernatural than anything. But in terms of that would be my only concern, was okay, we're going to have him come into the living room and notice pictures of Karen and Lori. How are we going to do this without seeming Michael's kind of, do you know what I mean? And there's ways to do it, but I think maybe that's the first thing that comes to my mind anyway. But not a bad idea. There might be ways to work around that. You never know. You never know, ladies and germs. Doug804. Yeah, Doug. Did Doug follow up on that? Doug804? I don't know. We'll see here. Oliver Mercer sends in a super chat. Thank you, Oliver. Says, hey, Dave, out of Robert De Niro and Al Pacino, who would you most want to meet? Plus, this COVID-19's like an alien attack. Closet to it in ways. An alien attack closet to it in ways? Like an alien attack closet to it in ways. I'm not sure what you mean by closet. This COVID-19's like an alien attack closet to it in ways. Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Yes, I mean, it is. It's disrupted everybody, whether you work at the highest levels of whatever industry it is to the lowest levels of whatever industry it is. It's disrupted and affected everybody. I was up at Walmart just the other day, and because it's the only store that's open. I don't usually go into Walmart, but it's the only store that's open. There's not, all the malls are closed, most of the retailers are closed, all of the higher end stores are closed, all the middle ground stores are closed, a lot of that's closed. And I was like, I'll head to Walmart. So I walked into Walmart and I'm going through the cash, and they have, of course, tape, and they have like what looks like these bulletproof glass behind all the cashiers. And it's like, I'm like, but finally they're putting on gloves, because when I was at the grocery store last week, and maybe they're still doing it, I was going through the checkout and they're social distancing and they're getting me to bag my own shit. I always go to this one grocery store because I like that they still bag my stuff. I think it's kind of a nice perk. But now, because of social distancing, they're getting you to bag it, which is okay, fine, not a big deal. But what's so weird is that they weren't wearing gloves. There's no like barrier. They're still touching your stuff, beep, 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 and putting it through and scanning it, but just pushing it further down to the end. And then you come along and you bag it. I'm just like, what's that doing? You're still touching my stuff with your bare hands. Like, what is that? So why don't you just fucking bag my groceries? Like, just bag it. Like, I don't understand what the difference is of me bagging my own groceries when you've like, at this point, you might as well just get me to go behind there and scan my own shit, or just close all the cashiers down and just go through the self-checkout. And I don't mean that to be mean. I'm not saying that you bag my groceries, you son of a... I don't mean that. I don't mean it like that. I just mean that the decision to have them still scan it and touch all my food and packaging, but yet have me bag my own stuff in the eyes, or in the vein of or in the, not the vein, but in the guidelines of social distancing doesn't make any sense, because I'm now touching food that you've just touched. So I don't understand that. It doesn't make any sense. Why don't you just have us all self-checkout then? Anyways, I found that very weird, but it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Would I rather meet Robert De Niro or Al Pacino? Oh, man. I think I'm going to say De Niro. I think between De Niro and Pacino, I'm more of a De Niro guy, but I love me some Al Pacino. Hooah! Great ass! That's my go-to. They're two legends. I mean, it's like, do you want chocolate cake or do you want chocolate ice cream? It's like, well, fuck. Really at the end of the day, but I think I've always been a little bit more of a De Niro guy. So I'm going to say Robert De Niro. But I wouldn't turn down Al Pacino. Let's just put it that way. All right, we'll go for another 10 minutes. We'll take this thing to 90 minutes. Take this thing to 90 minutes, an hour and a half, because I got to rest my voice, because I got to get up tomorrow morning and do this all over again for episode, 35 now, McRae Live. Crazy stuff. Let me see. DMT Infinity says, yay, 2 live streams from Dave McRae in the same day. Yeah, I was supposed to have a production meeting tonight for It's Me, Billy. And we had to reschedule that. So I had some time and I thought, you know what, I'm going to jump on and see what you guys are doing and hang out with you guys for a bit, because I hope you guys are doing all right. Now here's somebody I haven't seen in here before, I don't think anyway. Mr. Rice. Maybe he sells some wonderful rice. Minute rice, maybe? Do you sell minute rice? Is it minute rice? We have to cook a little bit, maybe some butter and some salt. Mr. Rice says, is it instantly bold to say Halloween Night is better than H18, ignoring some of the amateur budget aspects? Well, if we're just talking about story and narrative, well, I don't know. I mean, I think it's hard to, it depends on what you would prefer. I think in order to make a proper assessment, I think Halloween Night would have to have been a feature. I mean, I think you would have had to have tacked on another 35 minutes to Halloween Night, really flesh some more things out, build into the, once we find out that is Dr. Loomis's grandson, and then sort of propel that further. And, because we kind of find that out towards the very end, and then there really isn't any time to sort of let that sink in and kind of wonder what's going to happen. So the concept of that, I don't really know. It's hard for me to, I'm going to say no right now, because there just wasn't much to go on, right? So I'm going to say no at the moment. But Halloween Night was well done. It was very well done. Very well done. Super chat comes in from Jack Ellis. Thank you, Jack. Says, hi, Dave. Thoughts on Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Okay. This is my opinion. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. Now, I understand that I think it was one of the writers said, oh yeah, it's a Christmas movie. And Bruce Willis is like, it ain't a Christmas movie. Listen, this is where this came from, okay? Somebody somewhere thought it was funny years ago to say that Die Hard is a Christmas movie. And do you want to know why the debate is there? Do you want to know why it's cool and hip to say that Die Hard is a Christmas movie? Because Die Hard's not a Christmas movie. Because if Die Hard was an actual Christmas movie, then it just would blend in with It's a Wonderful Life and nobody would be talking about it. Nobody would think it was fun and cool and hip to say, hey, Die Hard's a Christmas movie. because it would clearly be a Christmas movie. The reason why it's fun to say that is because it's clearly not a Christmas movie, but yet there's the Christmas theme and the Christmas... But it all depends on what your definition of a Christmas movie is. If your definition of a Christmas movie is just any movie that takes place at Christmas time, then Die Hard is a Christmas movie. But for me, a Christmas movie is a movie where the Christmas season, the spirit, the morals, the messages, of the Christmas season, are embedded into the fabric of the narrative, right? So, you look at It's a Wonderful Life, or you look at the message of Home Alone, and you look at where that goes and the arc of that, and about love and loss and appreciating family and all that kind of stuff. Now, I know what you're going to say. Yeah, but he has this and he appreciates this, and, at the end of that, and I get it, but Die Hard could have happened. You can remove Christmas and have Die Hard take place in the summer, and it plays out the exact same way. Nothing changes. I mean, listen, the people in the building may not be at a Christmas party. Okay, you just change that to a work function. And maybe in the elevator, it doesn't say, now I have a machine gun, ho, ho, ho. Okay, you change it to something else. But the fundamental fabric and identity of Die Hard doesn't change. It doesn't change, because the reason why Bruce Willis and Holly, John McClane and Holly are, making out at the end and so happy is not because it's Christmas and they've learned something about the Christmas season. It's because they just survived a fucking terrorist attack. That's why. That is why. And you can have that happen at any time of the year, and any of us would be hugging and making out with each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, holy fuck. You know what I'm saying? So it's just so happens that the backdrop of Die Hard is Christmas, and it adds this interesting element to the movie. But I don't see it as a Christmas movie when you compare it to like It's a Wonderful Life or Home Alone or One Magic Christmas or The Grinch or, Miracle on 34th Street or, things like that. It's not a Christmas movie in that way. And that to me is what a Christmas movie is. It's about Christmas. Die Hard isn't about Christmas at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Because you can remove the story and plant it anywhere else and it plays out the same way. Again, there's little things that, you change, but ultimately the message and moral, you come to the same conclusion, whereas you don't if you don't have Christmas in It's a Wonderful Life. You know what I mean? So that's how I see it, but it all depends on what your definition of Christmas is, right? Or sorry, a Christmas movie is. If your definition of a Christmas movie is, it takes place at Christmas, then Die Hard's a Christmas movie. But then wouldn't Die Hard 2 be a Christmas movie? Why doesn't anybody talk about Die Hard 2? Everybody's so focused on Die Hard being a Christmas movie. Die Hard 2, Die Harder takes place at Christmas. Why isn't anybody else talking about that? Nobody says Die Hard 2 is a Christmas movie. You want to know why? Because Die Hard 2 is not a Christmas movie. Anyway. Hans Gruber says, I was at the Nakatomi building that day and it was Christmas. It was Christmas. Oh, it was Christmas, all right, for sure. But that's not why they were there. They weren't there because of some sort of Christmas thing that was embedded into the fabric of the narrative. No, it was just the backdrop. It just so happened to happen on Christmas. Anyway, that's how I see it. But you are more than entitled to disagree. Let me see. Super chat comes in from Nick. Says, Dave, ever see Oliver Stone's suspenseful and very tension-filled flick called Talk Radio 1988? It's about a DJ being stalked by one of his listeners. I haven't. And I love me some Oliver Stone. So I am definitely going to have to check that out. Thank you very much for the suggestion and the super chat, Nick. Appreciate it. Gary Rangel sends in a super chat, $1 super chat, supporting the channel. Thank you very much, Gary. Really appreciate that. Didn't miss any super chats there. Okay, good. Let me see here. David says, have you ever seen Inception with Leonardo DiCaprio? If so, thoughts on the film? Oh yeah, love it. Saw it in the theater when it came out. And it's the kind of movie that I've had to watch a couple of times to grasp the different layers, no pun intended, because obviously, we're going into a dream and a dream and a dream and a dream. And it's a very cerebral film, and I like that, but it's one of those movies that I've had to watch a couple of times, and I discover something new every time I watch it. So it's sort of like Shutter Island in a way. Not quite. I mean, it's, Shutter Island's a little more linear than Inception, but I've had to watch it a couple of times. But I do enjoy it. And I remember seeing the theater and walking out and being like, wow, I got to fucking watch that again. It's crazy stuff. Let me see. Wayne Downey says, I've been guilty of making the joke that Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Well, weather outside is frightful. Oh yeah, of course. That's how they end the movie. Well, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire so delightful. But again, it's because it's Christmas time, right? So naturally, that's a great way to end the movie because it's Christmas time, right? So why wouldn't that it's cute. It works, right? And listen, I've made the joke too. I've made the joke from time to time, not in a serious way because I don't actually, I understand why people say that. I totally understand why. I do. I can see what they're saying about the movie. But I think the definition of what a Christmas movie is has to be broadened in order to fit Die Hard in. Because I think in the traditional sense, when you think of a Christmas movie, you don't think Die, like, you think, like, again, It's a Wonderful Life, Miracle on 34th Street, Home Alone, The Grinch, One Magic Christmas, go down the list, Ernest Saves Christmas, like, there's just so many. I know it's a really obscure one, but it's true. But I get it. Let me see. Did I miss any super chats? I don't think I did. We're going to wrap this up in a few moments here, folks. Another couple of minutes, and then we'll wrap this thing up here. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I think we had about 140 people at our peak. That's awesome. Thursday night after 9 o'clock. That's great. Awesome stuff. Toronto Freddy. Oh, he's talking to the Manhammer. Nice to see you guys. Ernest versus Michael. Ernest all the way. I mean, come on. This isn't even a fucking competition. Ernest would wreck Michael. Not just wreck Michael. He would wreck Michael. Jake V says, Dave, thank you first and foremost for all the joy you bring. Well, thank you very much. I try. Second, thanks for all the live streams and keeping everything honest. And thirdly, can we please get more fun with songs? Oh, yes. Okay. I will make sure to do that at some point. I got to pick a song that I like and that obviously I know all the words to, because I got to be able to lip sync it. I will do that. I will try and do that soon. Yeah, that's fun. Josh Collette says, hey, Dave, I totally agree with you that the film series should have the balls to end. With that said, do you ever respect that at the time Halloween H2O tried that? Oh, yeah. I mean, I was just as excited as anybody when they said that Halloween H2O was going to be made and Jamie Lee Curtis was coming back. And I was excited. I saw Halloween H2O in the movie theater 3 times. Now, it's not because I liked the movie that much. It was because in 1998, I worked at a movie theater. And I was able to, the first time I saw it was with my brother and Bruce. That's how long Bruce and I have known each other. And we went to a movie theater in downtown Ottawa, Canada. I don't know if the theater still exists, but it was called Sunset Theater or something like that. Anyway, we saw it there. Now, I didn't work there, so I had to pay for that. But I worked at a movie theater at that time in the summer. And I saw it 2 more times. I saw it once with my friend Brian, who wanted to see it. And when I worked at the theater, I was able to get myself in for free and get a guest in for free as well. So that's what I did. So I went and saw it with him. And then I was working late one night because at that time, those type of movie theaters were really new, like the Coliseum, the round big Coliseum type ones with the stadium style seating and stuff. It was brand new at that time. It was like state of the art. And they were playing movies at like midnight. I don't know if you guys remember that, but like it was like crazy. So I was working like a really late shift and my dad was going to come pick me up at like 2 and it was really dead at like 2 a.m. And my boss was like, it's dead. You can take off. I'm like, well, my dad, I still got a couple hours to kill. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go and watch Halloween H2O. So that's what I did. To kill time. So I totally understand, and I totally understand the love that people have for it, because for a lot of individuals, it was their first introduction into the world of Halloween. Like, unless you're my age, and maybe even not, maybe you are my age, but because Michael was virtually non-existent in the 1980s, and he made his return in the late 80s, but really when the slasher subgenre was on its downfall, he didn't embed himself like Freddy and Jason did. So when there was the resurgence of the slasher subgenre in 1996, thanks to Scream, all of a sudden, slashers were cool again. And Halloween H2O happened to be a lot of people's first introduction to Michael Myers and the Halloween franchise. And it was the first Halloween film they saw in the theater, but that they ever saw. And I understand the nostalgic attachment to it. But I didn't like the movie. I mean, I thought it was entertaining. It was cool. Like, it's always cool to see Michael on the screen. It's always neat to watch a Halloween movie unfold. But I didn't like the movie. I still don't like the movie today. It doesn't feel like a Halloween movie. It doesn't look like a Halloween movie. I like Laurie's arc. I like her in the movie, but just the look of the mask and the characters and the setting and I just didn't like it. I didn't like it. But I totally understand why some people may like it. Okay, just going to look to see if I missed any super chats here. I don't believe I did. I just want to make sure what the last one here is. Okay, it was Gary Wrangle. All right, that's always good to know. Where are we here? I'm going to wrap this up here. Let me take one more question here before I wrap up the show. Jeremy says, Dave, is there a movie you really don't like watching, but you can't really say it's bad? I don't like watching, but can't really say it's bad. I don't think so. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that I don't like watching. But you see, because I think the reason is because if I don't like watching it, it's probably because it's bad. You know what I mean? I know there's levels to that. There's degrees of bad. There's like, that's fucking horrible. And then there's like, it doesn't really like us. I mean, maybe one of the Star Wars prequels, maybe. Like maybe I don't like watching. No, I can't say that because the crux of your thing was that, but you can't say it's bad, and of course I actually can say the prequels are bad. I don't like watching it, but I can't say it's bad. No, that feels sort of like an oxymoron to me. It's kind of like, well, I don't like watching it because it's bad. Oh, I hit my fucking hat on the mic there. I don't like watching it because it's bad. So yeah, that's my answer to that. But if I think of something, I'll try and remember to bring it up on a show. And ask me again, maybe, in a couple of weeks, and maybe I'll have thought of something. All right, folks, that's going to do it for me here on this Impromptu AMA Thursday night chit chat. I got to skedaddle. I got to rest this voice now. It's almost 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time here. I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. You guys are amazing. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the non-super chats. Thank you for being here and supporting the channel. As usual, again, remember, if I don't get to your questions, obviously I always have to get to the super chats for obvious reasons. If I don't answer your question just in the general chat room there, remember, it's never personal. I try to be as thorough as I can and try to get as many people as I can. But I always like to look for new people too, right? Because we got some new people coming in all the time, which is always really cool. But I really appreciate you tuning in. Stay safe out there. Stay safe. Practice anti-social distancing. Okay. If your neighbor's across the street and he goes, "Hey, Jim, how you doing?" Just kind of fucking look at him, just kind of look at him, and just give him like a side eye and just kind of like, yeah, fucking little piece of, and walk away. Practice that, if you want, if you want to do that. Anti-social distancing. Can you imagine? No, but in all seriousness, stay safe and just wash the hands, and hopefully this thing will pass sooner than later. It's affecting all of us, folks. It is. And grab that toilet paper as soon as you can. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time for McRae Live. So join me then. All right, folks, I'm out of here. Cheers.